the drama in Maharashtra. For a long time, there was a perception that Sharad Pawar may have been part of the drama, he may have been in on the game, but he genuinely seems to have been both outfoxed and outnumbered by his nephew Ajit Pawar, who has joined hands with the BJP. Now, my question to you, and this question is relevant to you not just as a leader of the Congress party, it's relevant to you as the lawyer who actually fought for the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena in the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court went along with all of your arguments but stopped short of making an intervention and instructed the Speaker to look at the issue of the disqualification of 16 MLAs, of which Eknath Shinde is one. So I have a political question for you and a legal question for you. The political question is this: do you believe that Sharad Pawar is in on the game, or do you believe that Mr. Pawar has been betrayed by his nephew?
Barkha, uh, let me start by two opening statements. One is that since I am part of the advisory situation at the moment in the so-called Pawar case, I will be more than usual circumspect. You know that I'm very open and frank, but obviously I will not cross the boundaries of legal professional privilege. One. Two, uh, if you have seen politics, even at distant quarters, you have seen it all. So there is never an absolute answer in politics. Some of the persons who have left Mr. Sharad Pawar, the names I will not take, personal friends of mine, I am astonished. And you know whom I mean, your viewers know whom
Praful
I mean.
Patel.
I
Praful
don't think,
Patel. Of
I
course, you
don't
mean
think,
Praful Patel.
I don't mean anybody, but I know this much, that anybody who knows public life, even from a distance, would never ever have expected some of the names, some of the events, some of the statements. So the bottom line is, we have all ceased to be surprised, and we should continue to be ceasing to be surprised ever. Now, the answer to your question: there are a lot of aspects of the judgment you mentioned, the Shiva Sena judgment, which of course bind the country as a whole now, but which would be directly relevant. And that's the law, so I'm committing no breach of anything to discuss that with you. Today, I want to ask you a simple question. What is the basis of Ajit Pawar and his other colleagues from leaving and for leaving? And what is the basis of their today's claim to fame or claim to strength? Answer the question. The question is, we have got X MLAs, you have got only Y MLAs, correct? Whether it's
Yes.
34 or whatever. Now, under that judgment, which is open for everybody to read, is merely having X and Y MLAs enough for you to claim to be the NCP? Is it enough for you to keep tom-tomming MLAs, which is a very small subset of a subset? The subset, the superset is the political party. The first subset is the legislature party. The second subset of the subset are some MLAs of that legislature party. The Supreme Court is rightly at pains to say that what matters is the mother, the parent, the superset. Now, do you think in the common perception of people, the so-called Ajit Pawar faction has anything to show by way of being the real larger political party NCP?
You are saying that the Ajit
And
Pawar split.
one more
Yeah.
sentence. This
Yeah.
political party NCP means the political party from the top, the office bearers in the middle, the office bearers at the district, at the tehsil, not only office bearers, the membership, arm membership of the party. Now the question is, there is nothing even claimed by Mr. Ajit Pawar in that respect. And everybody knows where those numbers lie.
Yeah. Can I ask you? You are basically saying that given the Supreme Court's sort of scathing observations about what happened with the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena, the NCP split is in violation of the spirit of the Supreme Court judgment.
Letter, forget spirit. NCP's contention, stand, basis, every day tom-tomming the MLAs. The second point, Barkha. So the answer is clear. It's directly violated the letter. But second point, the MLAs themselves, which are being tom-tommed, may well be subject to disqualification. We don't know the number. Nobody's shown two-thirds numbers, provided you had a neutral speaker, a non-partisan speaker, a non-political speaker. Today, have you been shown any concrete, hard evidence about two-thirds, one-third?
So, where does that leave Sharad Pawar's legal options? Given the Supreme Court's sort of critical view of how the Shiv Sena was split, where does that leave Sharad Pawar's legal options today? Dr. Singhvi, are you able to hear me? Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, yeah,
we're losing some voice. I've lost some screen, but it doesn't matter. We can go on. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
I think ultimately this will be decided in some sense of an adjudicatory forum, whether it's the election commission or the courts, principally the former. But those who are confident that they are the ones with whom the largest numbers of the political party exist have no particular reason to do anything, to jump around. It is for those who claim to be the real political party without any numbers being shown that will may or may not have to take some legal action. But I will not go beyond those guarded comments because certainly today the general perception, at least in Maharashtra, is that the political party is firmly with Mr. Sharad Pawar, A, and B, that the legislature MLA numbers are also not anywhere near frozen or clear as claimed by the Ajit Pawar faction.
Basically, you're
These are
saying
the
there has to
two
be a floor.
basic pillars.
Basically, you're saying in keeping with the letter and spirit of the Supreme Court judgment, there should be a floor test.
No, 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 no. Forget flow test. No, no, no. I am saying that a neutral speaker, and I'm not saying that one exists. Perhaps that species is extinct now. A neutral speaker would find out what is the NCP. The Supreme Court says so. And if you were to do that inquiry genuinely, I have no doubt, at least at the moment, that Sharad Pawar is the real NCP. But provided you do that inquiry, now the moment you do that, no protest is necessary, nothing. The political parties, the NCPs, those who have left, are subject to the whip of Mr. Sharad
Okay.
Pawar.
Okay, I have one last question for you on this subject, on the role of the speaker. As per the Supreme Court judgment, the speaker had to, in a time bound manner, take a decision on whether to disqualify 16 MLAs of the now what is known as the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena. The Chief Minister Eknath Shinde is one of them. Do you believe, as it has been averred by the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena, that Eknath Shinde could cease to be the Chief Minister of Maharashtra? And since you've already said the speaker is not neutral, why would the speaker take such a decision?
See, very clearly and pointedly, Barkha, I used the last sentence and you smiled. I said, perhaps it's an extinct species. You tell me one thing. Why does a second petition have to be filed in the Supreme Court, as has been filed, to ask you, the speaker, to decide because you have not decided after 2.5 months? Does the learned, I emphasize the word learned speaker, need 2.5 months with assistance from diverse legal brains to decide this matter finally? In 2.5 months, he has not even initiated and started the process of the Sena issue, which has been decided by the Supreme Court 2.5 months ago. So you can see where the wind is blowing. Forget the NCP. We are now talking of a done, dusted case of the Supreme Court. Clearly, the intention is to decide by not deciding. Clearly, the intention is to get a default decision because non-decisions are also decisions.
What
Now,
would be
today,
what would be the default decision in this case?
default decisions everybody is keeping hanging because you know that if you go into the disqualification, the Shiv Sena so-called Shinde faction is clearly disqualified. There cannot be a defense. Forget NCP. Can there be a defense to the Shiv Sena walking away of those numbers of MLAs in the Eknath Shinde camp? What is the defense? There is no
So,
two-thirds claimed. So
so all
therefore,
in
the
all,
Dalit speaker knows that if he takes it up, he'll have to disqualify people who are supposedly loyal to him and to whom supposedly he's supposed to be loyal. Let's be
last
blunt.
question
Let's
on
smell
this.
the
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
be
Let's be
frank.
blunt. Let's be blunt. What are your options right now? What are your options right now in real terms?
See,
Let's
this
be
is the
blunt.
problem. This is the problem. The options are in a democracy, and people like us who believe in rule of law are only to keep going back to the courts. I'm now talking of the Shiv Sena case. You cannot go and hold your neck and say, look, I know I'm right, so therefore please do this. I have to go to court, and you know that process is the punishment. Time is the punishment. We all know that,
Right.
and that is what the other side knows when they make the mistake. Many people do a mistake deliberately, saying that ultimately we'll be quashed, we'll be reversed, but we will gain by the time. We'll enjoy the time.